On February 14, 1981, a 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski was walking across his grandmother's backyard in Centralia, Pennsylvania. It was a Saturday, Valentine's Day. He was cutting the corner of that yard the way he had 100 times before. The ground opened underneath him. He dropped into a hole in the earth, caught a tree root on the way down, and hung over a shaft venting hot, poisonous gas until his cousin pulled him out. There was no warning, no crack, no sound, no soft spot underfoot. No sign, no fence, no smell. Just an ordinary lawn in an ordinary town on an ordinary winter afternoon. Underneath it, a coal fire that had been burning since 1962. That is what every place on this list has in common. 10 American towns where the thing that kills people is not the thing anybody watches for, and it gets far worse the moment the sun goes down. Here is the number that should stop you. Only about a quarter of all driving in this country happens after dark. Roughly half of all fatal crashes do. Mile for mile, night driving runs somewhere around 3 times deadlier. Coming up, a highway with almost 100 miles and not one fuel pump. A town you can only reach through a tunnel that locks at night. And a road at number 1 where the darkness doesn't end in the morning, it ends in the spring. So here is the quiet contradiction at the heart of all 10 of these places. Every one of them looks completely fine. Picture the drive the way you would actually make it. Pavement in good repair. A speed limit sign. A painted line down the middle. A diner with the lights still on. Nothing your eyes would flag at 60 miles an hour. That is exactly the problem. Danger you can see, you slow down for. Ice, fog, a hairpin turn, a construction zone. Your foot moves before your brain finishes the thought. None of these towns give you that. And here is the one fact I want you to hold on to, because we come all the way back to it at the end. Not a single person who died in these places was doing anything reckless. Hold on to that one. So hit that subscribe button now because we're counting all 10 of these down and you do not want to miss number 1. Let's count it down. Number 10, Jackman, Maine. When I first drove into Jackman, I thought I'd found the most peaceful place left in the lower 48. Pines, a lake, a diner, 800 people. Then I asked a local how far it was to the next town. He didn't answer with the distance. He asked what time I was leaving. Here's the wildcard fact. Maine averages somewhere near 500 moose vehicle collisions a year. Route 201, running north out of Jackman, is one of the most concentrated moose corridors in the country. Now here's the part everybody gets wrong. A deer is a bumper problem. A moose is not. A bull stands 6 feet at the shoulder, 1,000 pounds and up. Your low beams pass underneath the body entirely. The hide is brown-black. The eyes sit too high to catch your light. No reflection, no eye shine, nothing. What you see, if you see anything, is legs. 4 dark posts in the road at 55 miles an hour. Then the legs go out, and 1,100 pounds comes through the glass at exactly the height of your head. Beautiful road. Empty road. And something standing in it your headlights were never built to find. Number 9, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. When I first drove into Point Pleasant, I came for the folklore. A metal statue downtown, a whole tourist economy built around a creature people claim they saw in 1966. Then I walked down to the riverbank, and the story stopped being fun. Here's the wildcard fact. On December 15, 1967, at rush hour, 3 weeks before Christmas, the Silver Bridge here collapsed into the Ohio River with traffic backed up bumper to bumper across it. 46 people died. Most of them were still sitting in their cars. The cause was one steel eye-bar in the suspension chain with a fracture in it about the width of a human hair. Compare that to what you watch for on a bridge. Ice you can see. Standing water you can see. Crosswind you feel through the wheel. This was none of those. Invisible from a foot away. That collapse is why the United States has a federal bridge inspection program at all. Before Point Pleasant, nobody was required to check. Tens of thousands of American bridges still carry traffic rated in poor condition. You have no idea which ones you cross. A monster statue downtown. A hairline crack in the dark. Only one of them ever killed anybody. Number 8. Bowie, Arizona. When I first drove Interstate 10 through Bowie, I thought it was the easiest driving in America. 4 lanes, flat, dry, 75 miles an hour. You could steer it with 2 fingers. Then I started counting the warning signs. Far too many for a road that easy. Here's the wild card fact. This stretch runs alongside the Wilcox Playa, an enormous dry lake bed of fine, loose silt. When the wind comes up right, that lake bed lifts into the air and rolls across the interstate as a wall that can drop visibility from 10 miles to 0 in a matter of seconds. Arizona's official instruction for this is unlike anything else in American driving. Pull completely off the pavement. Put it in park. Take your foot off the brake. And turn every light on your vehicle off. Because in a dust wall, drivers cannot see road. Only tail lights. So they follow them, straight into whoever stopped first. That is how these become pile-ups of dozens of cars instead of single accidents. In daylight, you can at least watch the wall coming across the desert and get off early. After dark, there is no wall. There's clear air, stars, your headlights, then nothing at all. Straight road, clear sky, and a lake bed that gets up and moves. Number 7. Centralia, Pennsylvania. When I first drove towards Centralia, my GPS still had streets on it. Names, intersections, a whole grid. I drove into the middle of that grid and found grass, cracked driveways going nowhere, and steam coming out of the ground. Here's the wildcard fact. This is where that boy fell. The fire that opened the earth under Todd Domboski started in the coal seams beneath this town in 1962, and it is still burning right now. Geologists have estimated the seam holds enough coal to keep it going another 250 years. The state bought the town out. The buildings came down. In 2002, the Postal Service revoked the zip code. Here's why it belongs on a nighttime list. A wildfire announces itself. Light, heat, smoke, something to run from. This one does none of that. What kills here is carbon monoxide, colorless and completely odorless, and subsidence, ground going hollow under a surface that looks identical on top. The old stretch of Route 61 buckled so badly it was abandoned outright. People still walk out onto it at night with flashlights for the photos. Quiet town, warm ground, and a fire that will outlive everyone watching. If you're learning things about this country you never expected, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people just like you. Number 6. Picher, Oklahoma. When I first drove into Picher, in the far northeast corner of Oklahoma, I thought I was looking at hills. Big, pale, smooth hills at the edge of town, tall enough to shadow the whole street. They are not hills. Here's the wild card fact. Those are chat piles, tens of millions of tons of crushed mine waste laced with lead and cadmium. And underneath the town run the mines themselves, a honeycomb of tunnels. Surveys eventually found much of Picher sitting on ground at risk of collapsing into it. The federal government funded a buyout. In 2008, an EF4 tornado tore through what was left. The town officially dissolved in 2009. But the roads are still there. That's the part nobody expects. The pavement is intact. The street signs are up. Some foundations are still standing. A ghost town at least looks abandoned, so you treat it like wilderness. Picher looks like a town. Your brain reads streets, addresses, a grid, and assumes somebody is nearby. Nobody is. No hospital, no fire department, no police, no working streetlight, and thin cell coverage. Real streets, real signs, and absolutely nobody left to answer. Number 5, Bombay Beach, California. When I first drove into Bombay Beach on the eastern shore of the Salton Sea, I thought I was looking at a beach town gone quiet. Trailers, palm trees, water out to the horizon. Then I walked toward the sea, and it kept not getting any closer. Here's the wild card fact. The Salton Sea has been shrinking for years. Every year it retreats. It exposes more dry lake bed, ground that spent decades absorbing agricultural runoff from the valley around it. That playa is now one of the largest dust sources in the region. Imperial County has carried some of the worst childhood asthma emergency rates in California. Ordinary road dust settles. This does not. The particles are fine enough to travel deep into a lung and stay there. And the wind here does not keep tourist hours. Some of the strongest gusts come through in the evening and overnight when the temperature drops and the air starts moving. That is exactly when the playa lifts. So you're on a 2-lane road below sea level in the dark. What's crossing your headlights isn't fog and isn't rain. It's the dried floor of a lake, and you're breathing it with the windows up. Empty shore, rising dust, and a sea backing away from its own town. Number 4, Mentone, Texas. When I first drove into Mentone, I genuinely thought I'd missed it and turned around to check. No traffic light, no grocery store, a courthouse, a cafe that keeps its own hours, and not much else. Here's the wildcard fact. Mentone is the seat of Loving County, the least populated county in the entire United States, with a permanent population that has at times sat in the double digits. Not thousands, dozens, and yet the roads here are busy. That is the contradiction. This is the Permian Basin. The oil underneath pulls enormous truck traffic onto 2-lane highways with no shoulder, no median, no lighting, driven by people at the back end of 14-hour shifts. A quiet rural road is safe precisely because it's empty. This one is not empty. Interstate volume on farm road infrastructure. Closing speeds over 100 miles per hour with a painted line between you and the truck. Flare stacks burning on the horizon pull your eyes off the pavement. And there is no hospital in the county at all. Fewest people in America. Some of the busiest asphalt in America. And nothing in between. Number 3, Rachel, Nevada. When I first drove into Rachel, I was doing exactly what everybody does. Driving State Route 375, the extraterrestrial highway, for the novelty of the sign. Rachel is the only town on it. Population around 50. Then I looked down at my fuel gauge and the joke ended. Here's the wildcard fact. This is the road I promised you at the very start. Route 375 runs roughly 98 miles across open Nevada desert, and along that entire stretch there is no fuel. None. Rachel has no gas station. The nearest reliable pumps are the better part of an hour out in either direction. For long stretches, no signal at all. Now add what stands on it. Most of this is open range. Cattle are legally free to be anywhere they like, including your lane. Black cows on black asphalt, standing on pavement that held the day's heat instead of the cold dirt beside it. An empty highway feels like the safest kind of road there is. It's the opposite. Empty means nobody drives past you for hours. No fuel, no signal, and 1,000 pounds of livestock standing in your lane at midnight. If you made it this far, you're clearly someone who does their homework before they travel. So, do yourself a favor and hit that like button, then let's get to number 1. Number 2, Whittier, Alaska. And number 2 is a place you would never expect to be dangerous, because it looks completely controlled. When I first drove toward Whittier, I thought the directions were wrong. There is no road into this town. There is no road around into this town. There is one way in, and it goes through a mountain. Here's the wildcard fact. This is the tunnel I promised you. The Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel runs about 2.5 miles straight through solid rock, a single lane shared with the Alaska Railroad. Cars drive directly over the train tracks. Traffic alternates one direction at a time on a fixed schedule, and it closes at night. That's the part that catches people. There is a last opening in the evening, and after it, that mountain is shut until morning. If you're on the outside, you are not getting in. If you're on the inside, you're not getting out. Every other closed road in this country has a detour. This one has none. Behind you, a highway cut into avalanche terrain. Sheer rock on one side, cold salt water on the other. Weather that turns in 15 minutes. one road, one lane, and a door that locks at night. Number 1, Coldfoot, Alaska. And honestly, this is the one I would not drive at all. When I first pulled into Coldfoot, 60 miles above the Arctic Circle, I read the population sign twice because I assumed it was a typo. A truck stop, a cafe, and a handful of permanent residents. Here's the wild card fact. Coldfoot sits on the Dalton Highway, the haul road built to service the pipeline. From here north to Dead Horse, roughly 240 miles with no fuel, no lodging, no restaurant, no reliable cell service. One of the longest stretches without services on any road in the United States. Coldfoot is the last chance. That is the entire reason the place exists. The road is largely gravel. It runs a mountain pass. Heavy trucks own it. They will not slow for you, and they throw rock hard enough to take a windshield out. But here is why it's number 1, and it's the thing nobody plans for. Every other town on this list only asks you to survive a night. You tell yourself you'll make it to sunrise. Coldfoot is above the Arctic Circle. In winter, the sun does not come up. Not for a morning, for weeks. No fuel, no signal. And a darkness with no morning on the other side of it. So here's the actual answer. The one all 10 of these have been building toward. Every danger you naturally respect hands you a signal your body already knows. Ice makes the wheel go light. Fog you can watch closing in. A curve you can see coming. Rain you can hear on the roof. Your foot lifts off the gas before you've consciously decided anything. Not one hazard on this list does that. A moose gives you no eye shine. A cracked eye bar gives you no sound. Carbon monoxide gives you no smell. Hollow ground gives you no soft spot. A dust wall gives you clear air right up until it doesn't. And a tunnel gate gives you a schedule you never thought to read. Darkness doesn't create a single one of those. It just takes away the last sense you had left. So, if you are ever the one making one of these drives, and plenty of you will be, do the small, unglamorous things. Fill the tank before the empty stretch. Every time, not when the light comes on. Sleep before you drive it. Really sleep. Check the closing time before you're standing at the gate. Keep water and a blanket in the trunk even in July, because the desert at 4 in the morning is a different country than the desert at 4 in the afternoon. None of that is exciting. All of it works. Come back one last time to that Valentine's Day in 1981. A 12-year-old boy cutting across his grandmother's yard on grass that had held his weight every single day of his life. He got out. He caught a root, and his cousin was close enough to reach him. Almost nobody else on this list got that, and that's the real number here. Not fatality rates per 100 million miles. Not 46. Empty seats. Cars that were expected somewhere and never arrived. A phone ringing out in the kitchen. Now, remember what I asked you to hold on to. Not one of those people was being reckless. They were commuting home 3 weeks before Christmas. They were cutting across a lawn. They were driving a road they'd driven 100 times before. The emptiness out there is not protection. The emptiness is the whole point. It waits on both shoulders, patient and enormous, for the moment your attention slips. And it is very, very good at waiting. So, if this made you think differently about a road you've driven 100 times, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment telling me which of these 10 you've actually driven through. I read every single one. And if this hits 15,000 likes, I'll do a part 2 with 10 more roads most people have no idea they should be afraid of. I'll see you in the next one.